Welcome. I bid you welcome to my music corner of the world. This is John Clauser, John Metal, the Metal Dad. And today's Transform Tuesday. Last week we took a look at Godspell, the soundtrack to both the stage musical and the movie a little bit. And so I'm going to kind of go in a little bit of a chronological feeling here when it comes to what music and what albums kind of transformed my faith and how I look at just kind of what songs spoke to me, what albums spoke to me, what bands spoke to me. There's obviously a lot of stuff here that I could probably talk a lot about. So I'm going to go into kind of my teenage years. And now for my teenage years, I was at that point, I was coming out of being a huge Kiss fan and would go into AC/DC. Then I kind of got into like Def Leppard, Van Halen, a lot of bands like that. And then I started getting into much heavier stuff like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, Metallica, Slayer, of course. Those guys behind me, you see Blackie, Wasp. You see my Wasp Wednesday series. So I was really starting to get into a lot of heavier stuff. So I had this friend named Tim, and he introduced me to this band out of LA. And these guys are known for being dressed up in a lot of yellow and black. And they took the world by storm with their brand of heavy metal. But everything here was Christian and faith based. So I'm talking about the band Striper. Now, my first introduction to them was actually the Soldiers Under Command album, which is amazing album, wonderful album. But the album I'm going to talk about here is what came out in October 24th of 1986. This would be their second full-length album, and I'm talking about To Hell with the Devil. Now, the cover you see here, this is the one the Christian bookstores didn't like. So if you got this at a Christian bookstore, whether it was on vinyl, cassette, or CD, it was basically just a black cover with the Striper logo and To Hell with the Devil. And that was all it was. You got the guys in the back. You got standing up here. You got Tim Gaines on bass. You got Michael Sweet there on vocals and guitar. You got the visual timekeeper Robert Sweet on drums, and Oz Fox on lead guitars and backing vocals. So let's go into this album a little bit. So this was a big album for Striper. This would achieve platinum status, first Christian metal album to do so. Let's see. It was the personnel on this. While Tim Gaines is pictured on this, of a man by the name of Brad Cobb actually plays bass on this album. You also have John Van Tongeren on keyboards. But what an album! I mean, this is probably I would call my favorite Striper album. Lyrically, there is just some really wonderful stuff here. Of course, To Hell with the Devil is very kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say cheesy, but it gets the point across, and it's strong. Calling on You. I mean, we talk about sometimes we get in those deep, dark moments in our life, and we just call out to God, and that's what we do. We calling on You. Free to do what you want to. Choose your own destiny. You have the choice to do what you want. Yeah, but there's also some consequences that sometimes comes with those choices. But we have been made free under the cross, and we put our faith in Jesus. And honestly, you have the nice tender ballad, big MTV song. Side A closes with an Oz Fox song called The Way. Just a supercharged song. Great way to end off the side one. Side two kicks off with the sing-along song. Just a wonderful little sing song, great drum rhythm by Robert. Holding On, another great track. Rockin' the World, probably one of my favorite tracks off this album. Love that song. All of Me, another ballad. More Than a Man, great song. It points to Jesus, just shows that Jesus was much more than a man. He's God, and he is there to take the way of the sins of the world, and we put our faith and trust in him. That this whole album, again, it planted seeds back in 1986 when I got, because this is my original vinyl that I bought back then. I still have this all these years. It was on the original Enigma label. But a great album nonetheless. I wouldn't really get into In God We Trust. I would go to Against the Law, which I thought was a very strong album. They kind of got away a little bit from the faith-based roots, although it's still kind of there's still a bit of Christianese in it. It's pretty much just a straight up rock and roll album, but it was a very good album. But anyway, just getting back to this one. I mean, this album again planted a lot of seeds. Told me that I could rock hard, but still believe in Jesus and sing about Jesus, even though maybe I wasn't totally putting my trust in him yet at that point, or at least that strongly. It was very, very much a cultural Christian kind of feel. So anyway, to hell with the devil. That's going to be my quick look at Transform Tuesday for today. So let me know what you think of this album. What did you think when you first heard this one? Whether it was 1986 or whether it's been since then. What are your thoughts on this album? So talk to me about it. So again, with that said, I am Johnny Metal, John Clauser, the Metal Dad. I thank you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think. And we'll catch you next week for Transform Tuesday. See ya.